right, the internet's all hubbub about the leaks. The leaks. Quite frankly, I really don't care. Actually, if anything, the leaks have made me more anticipation of the two series I only watch the Disney Channel 4 or Stream Plus, whatever. Is Ladybug and Owl House. Yes, I saw the leaks. I saw the storyboard animations, the incomplete animations, the promos, the trailers, the leaks, everything, you know. And if anything, it made me feel like I want to watch this more. Like I said with Ladybug, I want to watch this more. Now that I've seen, more of Owl House, it's like, okay, cool. Please show me, like I did with the first one, which is a little lackluster, just a little. I thought that they could use a little bit more Lumity in it, honestly, a bit more of the, like this was the date, like they would go on a date throughout as a subplot to this whole thing. But they didn't for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe they're saving it for part 3. I don't know. But seeing for the future, I think it was called, no qualms. It shows a lot of emotion from Luz now that she's back in the Boiling Isles and seeing firsthand what her um, actions have wrought or brought upon. Excuse me, I just ate upon the Isles, and so we get a lot of emotion. We get a lot of support. We still have Luz struggling with wanting to be a hero because, being the hero so far has done what for the world. So I'm still very curious as to the origins of the Collector, why he's called the Collector, why is he a little boy, did he defeat the Titan, or was he a much later thing? I don't know. I still think Luz is tangentially, I think the word is, I'm not sure, but basically she's the ancestor. I think the Philippines, Philippine, I forget how to pronounce his name, but the brothers, the Hawthorns, and Luz Noceta are all in the same family. I think. I think that's my fan theory. Is that that they're all basically family. There's one fan theory I saw in there that that the Collector is the first hybrid child between the Hawthorns and the Philippines. That sounds. I know. I kind of doubt that, but it's like, I mean, an interesting concept at least. But then it was the fanfic of the fanfic, a concept that King suggested that why not have Lazura be the future child of Amity and Luz. Apparently time traveled or something like that. So that was just rather hysterical. And King says, "You can thank. I wrote that part. You can thank me later." But yeah, I am not upset. Like, oh no, it's spoiled for me now. I don't want to watch. No, I am even more determined and more excited. Can't you see my excitement? I am excited for these two shows because they finally did. They showed me the one thing that I've been wanting them to do this entire time is to bring it, especially with Ladybug, and kind of more especially now in season 3 for Owl House, because Owl House is season 3's episode 1. This is special. I guess, granted, it's been cut down, so they had to whittle away and kind of edit. Yes, I'm an editor, so I understand the concept of sacrificing stuff. You got to squash this down to make it fit, so I understand that. But it's nice to see them kind of getting on with it and showing us, imaginative stuff, like what the Boiling Isles is supposed to be, imaginative, which is, I guess, the Earth be a lot more boring. which is understandable. But again, with Ladybug, I, again, my mind was blown. I'm just typing in the comments for each installment of the leaks or the animatics and these fan dubs. Don't forget the fan dubs. Um, I'm just saying, please be true, please be true, please be true, because this is good. This is exactly where I want my fandom to go. I want my show to go. Is to just bring the heavy emotions, have everything finally come to a point, to a front, to something. Comes to a point where stuff has to happen. Things get revealed. I mean, the constant close brief thing again. What they've done for the past 3 seasons is really super annoying. Everything they should have done, like I said, from season 4 and 5, should have happened at the beginning of season 2, if anything. When the fandom was like, yeah, then start doing stuff, because the constant setting it back to zero. We're always saying, what does Ladybug do? She hears someone call for help, or basically Chloe gets annoyed, and because she's being Chloe, causes someone to get upset, and then that person gets kumatized. Marinette transforms into Ladybug. Ladybug constantly keeps turning down Cat Noir. Ladybug does her magical, like I said in the theater, Lucky Charm, and then bang boom, back to everything solved. And they did that for like 3 seasons, minus a few minor story arc episodes. And that gets really frustrating over the past 5 years, where you're like, okay, and in this episode they don't do anything. They don't resolve anything. Oh, they had no, that's gone now. It was erased, or it was undone, and it's like back to zero. And it's like, look, kids, doing that to a show which should obviously be progressive and just make it go back to zero again is really annoying. Like I said, it really pisses off your audience. So I'm glad now they're doing that. Now, hard emotions. So when I see the leaks and I see, they're finally getting on with it. It's like, yes, please. I am invested. I am on pins and needles. I'm on the edge of my seat. Yes, because I know what good cinema is. So when I see new things coming out that are subpar and childish and, let's face it, a lot of BS, it just gets annoying. It really does. Repetitive, formulaic stuff. There was a series, I forget what it was called. it's a fantasy sci-fi adventure thing that's really good. I'm on like book 18 or something like that. It was this long ass series with some side stories, and it's about how for thousands of years there was technology that shouldn't have existed, and yet it did, but it was all so formulaic from volume to volume, because you would be coming in the first one. It's like, okay, sure, that's standard trope, whatever, and then the next book comes out, and it has like the sequel, a lot of the same story beats. It's like, okay, and then the third book comes out. It's a bit different, sure, and some of the story beats and story elements still happen. And what I found as I keep watching these things for the past like 2 years, I was listening to these things. I found them rather interesting, if a bit childish in its sense of discovery and science. Oh, it's right over there the entire time. No one just bothered to turn their head and look. Like really, like a fight, like you're dumbing down your science and mystery so that the audience should be able to follow it. And I'm like, do not make your audience smarter than your lead characters. But I see a lot of novelists do that, where it's like, no, I really got to dumb this down, otherwise it's going to go over a lot of people's heads. Trust me, we're not that dumb. But anyway, so this would be not enthusiasts, but what's that when rich people are something, they're into something? Enthusiasts, rich enthusiasts. I forget what that word means, but philanthropist. That's it. Philanthropist. can't really pronounce that right. Uh, Philanthropist, who is basically a Bond villain. A lot of these elements are from like a Bond film, I swear, or novel, where a philanthropist has this wacky idea uh, of poisoning something, destroying something, controlling something, unleashing a new virus, unleashing a new pathogen, something, or looking for an interesting new power source, something. And was it gamma, alpha, beta? Gamma? Was it gamma? Alpha, beta, gamma? I forget what it was called, but it was this. It was a secret, organization in the government that was founded to protect the world, not necessarily the U.S., but the world against super science weird stuff. And it's very formulaic when you watch like the first when you listen to the first 10 volumes of this series. Kingdom of Bones, Labyrinth of Bones, the Death Crucible, all that other, just stupid stuff, because it doesn't matter. Because like in Ladybug, it all goes back to zero, because every time something would happen, if the anthropist would do something, would be on the hunt for something. So there's a race, there's a global race across the world, and then stuff happens. Doctors analyze stuff. People get kidnapped every single time. It's like someone needs to get kidnapped. It's been a few chapters, and right around now is when the time someone gets kidnapped, but no one's in a position to get kidnapped. Oh wait, one of the new mothers on the side is like, yeah, let's go on a milk run to a pregnancy clinic, prenatal clinic, and of course they get kidnapped, because it's like, well, I gotta write in that kidnapping route now anyway, So it's like, and there it is. So it gets very predictable. Fighting ensues, science stuff, sacrifice of something old, usually. And a monster is usually unleashed upon the world to wander the earth. And that's it. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Over and over and over again. And I kind of just want them to kind of just get on with it. Like, tell the whole story of what the heck is going on. Because these things shouldn't just pop up, There should be something behind it all. And they kind of explain it a little bit in one book about the Star family. But then that's it. And it's like, well, now, back to the basics. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. And it's like, you're going to get on with that. So it's only we'll draw the half of the series is to just, is to find out in a book where they kind of freaking answer the goddamn questions that this entire series have been setting up. Who are these people? Where did all this ancient technology come from? It has to have come from somewhere, because you can't just say it just spontaneously evolved out of nothing even after a while. It's like it has to come from somewhere. It has to be from something. But anyway. But yeah, Ladybug got really too repetitive for its own good. It got too stale. It never bothered to try, because but if we change, the same reason why they never changed in the first 3 seasons of Power Rangers, why they didn't change the outfits, is because they couldn't. They were too afraid to change the outfits. That's why in Super Sentai you have one team and storyline that's not really related to anyone else. So you have these pockets of independent stories. And they didn't have to realize they don't have to stay with continuity to each other. They can do whatever the hell they want. In space, a train, dinosaurs, just regular random bits of technology. Okay, sure. No, this one's magic. Okay. But they're all on Japan, apparently. And so, when it became Power Rangers, they said, oh, wait, the cast is changing. Things are changing. Green Ranger becomes the White Ranger. We have 3 new Rangers. But the costume still stayed the same. They had to. Because they're like, well, we don't want to change. If we change it, will people like it? But if we stay the course and stay doing the same thing, you get old and you get stale. Granted, it's a tried and true method, but if it stays the same for too long, then you start to lose your audience. So changing it up was the biggest gamble Saban Entertainment could have done at the time, but it was totally what it needed to do. It grew, it evolved. We're like, okay, it went from this series to that series to this series. There's a continuity here. And we saw that, and changes can be difficult at times, currently with the entire new cast, but we liked it. It made room for different experiences. Zeo became Turbo, and they were in space, and then went in Lost Galaxy. That was fun. And then it went further and further and further out, to other universes and dimensions and stuff. And it was a lot of fun. And watching, database Rangers Power reviews was an added thing, because much like the abridged series for Dragon Ball Z, it was just it was a reason to go back and watch it all again, with a new experience, with like I said, I just got done eating. With Dragon Ball Z, they just cut out all the necessary posing, where it's like, oh no, we're staring for 10 seconds. They kind of just cut all that loose time out, where it's kind of just wasted time because no one's really doing anything. It's supposed to be for anticipation or whatever, but they just cut all that out. So instead of like a 5-day series uninterrupted, is whittled down to like, I don't know, like a good solid 6 hours from season 1, 2, and 3. Damn shame they couldn't do season 4, or at least one of the other Brolys. That would have been nice. Or the third Broly. No, they did the No, they didn't do the second one. But what they didn't do was the BoJack. That would have been awesome. Next one up would have been BoJack. But anyway, but yeah, to revisit your series through a fan's view is rather entertaining. And seeing it yet again, shorter wise, within the Dragon Ball Z in 5 minutes recap, I thought it was just hilarious watching these live action versions of an abridged series, which is really cool. I liked it. And let's see, what else was there? Well, that's the thing with any real series, or the closer to major crimes. A closer for a couple of parts of season arcs were basically watch, rinse, and repeat. And basically, the underlining repeating factor we see with Deputy Chief Johnson is the fact that she has an ego problem. A guy has been killing people up and down the highway between Texas and California. So, it's like, well, he'll be lethally injected in California, or he'll be electrocuted in Texas. What does it matter? But the victims, mysteriously somehow, the victims will be more justified and vindicate, or not vindicated, will be properly avenged if he got killed in California than he would in Texas. Dead is dead, but she has to have it her way, and that was what you see a lot. What comes to a point in season 4, I think, is where she leaves a guy who rightfully needs to die at a house where people are going to kill him. She's like, let's just leave. Like, this guy is just, I wash my hands of this. And a lot of the villains, the bad guys leading up to this episode, and kind of afterwards, were the, never say never. Like, I will never be the bad guy. He says, oh, never say never. And he said, oh, I thought I could get away with it, and all that stuff. And she gets upset that she kept breaking down. She broke down and said, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. And it was one of the more interesting storylines. And I found it interesting that would continue on later on into the series and for another season or so of what's going on with all this. And yeah, it not that it can't be a good show, but it felt like it got stale sometimes because it would just get into these ruts, but it would have a kind of interesting idea, but then it would fall flat. It would have a good written story with good action to it, and then and the next episode would be kind of stupid, especially when they telegraph, "Here's the answer. We're telling you, you know, remember that thing? Yeah." And then it comes up, "Oh, that was the answer. They showed it to us before." When they do that, it gets really annoying because they think that their audience is stupid. That's one of the problems I had with that show, is that it would really dumb down its execution of the mystery. And at times it being really heartfelt, like when a kid or something would happen, like that time that girl was abducted and killed in the first 5 minutes, and it was a whole emotional fallout from that. And it's just like, wow, finally, a good episode that doesn't treat you like an idiot and more of a passenger. That's what you're supposed to be. Sorry, supposed to be brought along for the adventure. And how these people handle things. When it became Major Crimes and they had multiple story arcs, where it's not all wrapped up in one episode. Finally, it's allowed to breathe. There's more misdirections, red herrings, side characters that you kind of have to deal with. Isn't just a season-long story arc, but a mini episode. It's like 4 episodes in a row where it's like this one mystery. We're trying to solve it and trying to find out what the hell is going on. So there'd be a ton of twists and turns, and even I couldn't tell what the hell's going on. Is even going to happen a proper end or what? Like, what's going on? So I was kind of left in a lurch of, I don't know. And sometimes being the put in the spot of I don't know how this is all going to turn out can be rather refreshing, rather than she did it, he did it, motivation was stupid, or their motivation was incredibly clear or sympathetic. We see them coming a mile away. It gets really annoying and boring and a waste of your time and money. So the mini story arcs are rather quite nice. Now that it's become more Major Crimes instead of the closer. Not that the closer wasn't had its good points or good seasons. But yeah, it's the things. It's a pattern. It's basically what it is. It's a pattern, a repeating pattern. Because some stories are kind of like that, where you do something and then it's back to zero. Because sure, why not? Like The Simpsons. The Simpsons were never designed to be an overarching story where it has a beginning, middle, and end. It was just a day in the life of these random people. Well, granted, cartoon characters, but that was it. It was never meant to really go anywhere. It was core of just trying to examine the early '90s family. It was satire of the early '90s family. That was it, in a cartoonish form, and it was entertaining. That's why the '90s were awesome. Not the '90s. The '90s series is the volumes were good because they were good writers. They were imaginative. They were insightful. They made it interesting to watch these characters. There was an episode about a pool, and popularity, about comic books, sharing, friendship. And none of these characters were good characters. All about conceit, but the characters kind of learned something by the end. Didn't necessarily have to say they learned anything, but you saw them go through a process. And even though everything was kind of more set back to zero by the next episode, it was still a good series to watch because it wasn't overarching. It was just kind of more in the moment in the episode. Then out of that into the 2000s, yeah, that was just not good. That became, well, they lost all their good writers because everybody moved on, and the show kind of just should have ended after that. And then they kind of just sucked for like the next 8 years. It's just now starting to come back into itself, where they actually are writing good characters and finally got rid of, dirtbag Homer, or whatever we want to call him. Write nice, soft stories about people with hot, not necessarily brains, but hot. But anyway, that's the difference. That's, that's why I like these series. Is Owl House and Ladybug. Sorry about the tangents, but you see the kind of ruts like season 1 went through, was kind of more world building and setup, if a bit spinning its wheels for like 8 episodes, a bit, but when it got to season 2, it kind of kicked up into the let's actually do something and go somewhere with the story. And now they're realizing, well, we have to compress this even further because now Disney's kicking us out. Because how dare we be progressive and actually state the word girlfriend? Jerks. Anyway, but yeah, I am more fired up than what I was before. With the series, and it's like, okay, cool, season 3, and then season 5 for Ladybug. And it's like, all right, cool. I'm waiting for news and stuff. Then the leaks came out. I'm like, I love what I'm watching here. I love it. I like it. It was like, is it too spoiled? Don't you? It's like, no, it's not spoiled. I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, I know what's going to happen for Ladybug. We have all seen what happens with Ladybug. But with Owl House, I still have no idea how it's going to turn out. Who's going to get what, where, when, who, or how. So, yeah. I'm trying not to look at any more leaks, but what I've seen so far makes me like makes me want to watch this even more. My anticipation is even higher than what it was. So, as much as I don't like spoilers, no one really does, but what I've seen so far, I really like. I like it. It's good quality. It's good animation. It's good character development. And I'm also curious, how is Luce and company supposed to defeat basically a demigod, or a god, or whatever the hell the Collector is? Because he looks more like Tut from No Game No Life if he was evil. That was it. And yeah, that's it. So I'm waiting to do the review on the next exciting episodes of the Owl House and possibly Ladybug if need be. Alright, I'm getting really tired and sore. I gotta go lie down. Alright, so take care all. And try to settle down. It's okay. They're just leaks. It's not like it was the entire thing or anything. It's not like we saw the end. That would just be silly. Right? Right? Well, I'm sure they wouldn't do that. I mean, they're just being mean. Alright, take care, and as always, see you at the movies.